Basic psychology. Animal studies of attachment. Konrad Lorenz's Imprinting Study 1935. Did you know about Konrad Lorenz's study on imprinting in animals?
No, I'm not familiar with it. What did the study find?
In 1935, Lorenz split a batch of gosling eggs into two groups. One group remained with the mother, while the other was incubated and hatched with Lorenz as the first living object they encountered.
That's fascinating. What happened to the goslings that hatched with Lorenz?
Those goslings imprinted themselves on Lorenz and started following him around, even when he mixed them with the goslings from the natural mother.
Wow, so the goslings recognized Lorenz as their parent instead of the biological mother?
Exactly. Lorenz found that this imprinting process only occurred if the animal was exposed to a moving object during a critical period within the first 2 days, and it was irreversible once established.
That's really interesting. How does this relate to attachment in humans?
The process of imprinting is similar to attachment in humans, and it supports the idea that attachment is biological in nature. Imprinting shows how animals are biologically programmed to form a special relationship, just like a human infant and their primary caregiver.
I see. So this study provides insights into the biological basis of attachment in humans?
Yes, that's right. Lorenz also found that birds who imprinted on humans would later in life only attempt to mate with humans, showing how imprinting can impact mate preferences. Evaluating Konrad Lorenz's Imprinting Study 1935.
Have other studies replicated Lorenz's findings?
Yes, numerous studies have found similar results. For example, Gittin, 1966, showed that leghorn chicks would become attached to yellow rubber gloves used to feed them.
That's really fascinating. But does this mean imprinting is completely irreversible?
Well, that's where the evidence gets a bit mixed. Gittin, 1966, later found that the chicks who had imprinted on the gloves would later mate with other chickens if they spent enough time with them.
So imprinting may have a learned element to it as well, not just a biological one?
Exactly. There's still some debate around whether imprinting is completely irreversible and biologically programmed, or if it has a learned component as well.
And how does this relate to human attachment and development?
Well, the fact that imprinting only occurs within a critical time period is similar to Bowlby's idea of a critical period for human infants. This suggests imprinting may provide insights into human attachment and the importance of early childhood experiences. Harlow Study 1959, The Origins of Love. In 1959, Harlow conducted research to show that attachment is not necessarily a learned process due to feeding bonds.
Oh, that's interesting. How did he do the study?
Harlow separated rhesus monkeys from their mothers and raised them in isolation cages, exposing them to two mother figures, a wire mother and a cloth-covered mother for comfort.
That's quite a drastic experiment. What did he find?
Despite which mother provided the milk, the monkeys spent the majority of their time with the cloth-covered mother, and would cling to her when frightened.
Wow, that's really fascinating. So the attachment wasn't just about the feeding bond?
Exactly. The study showed that infant monkeys develop an attachment to the mother figure that provides comfort and contact, not necessarily the one that feeds them.
And what about the long-term effects of the motherless monkeys?
Harlow found that the monkeys who spent more than 6 months with the wire mother displayed abnormal social and sexual behaviors, even when they were later introduced to their peers.
That's really concerning. It shows how crucial that early attachment is for healthy development.
Evaluating Harlow's Study 1959.
How can we apply Harlow's study to human behavior? Aren't monkeys and humans quite different?
That's a fair point. A major criticism of Harlow's study is that it may not necessarily be representative of human behavior. as we are a different species with greater awareness of our thought processes.
I see. So the findings may lack external validity and generalization to the human population. What about the internal validity of the study?
You're right to question that. It could be argued that Harlow's study only demonstrates attachment behavior in monkeys, and may not be applicable to humans. However, monkeys do share around 94% of our genetics, so the findings could have some validity in humans.
That's a good point. So there are pros and cons to the validity of the study. What about the ethical concerns?
Yes, the ethical concerns are a major issue with Harlow's study. The monkeys experienced great distress from being separated and subjected to intentional emotional harm. Many of them even died, and those that survived had long-lasting negative impacts on their later relationships.
That's really troubling. How did this impact the field of animal research?
Harlow's study was deemed so unethical that it sparked the birth of the American animal liberation movement. It raised serious questions about how far animal research can go in the name of science.
Wow, that's a significant impact. But on the other hand, do you think the benefits of the study outweighed the costs?
That's a complex question. Many would argue that the study provided valuable insights into attachment behavior that have benefited human and animal care practices. But the ethical concerns are undeniable.
I see. It's a delicate balance between the scientific benefits and the moral implications. This is a really thought-provoking topic.